For the past several years, everybody has been obsessed with the same question. Which AI model is the smartest? Which one's the fastest? Which one is the best? And that's an important question, but I think that might be the wrong place to look for the biggest long-term value. Because history keeps showing us the same pattern. Breakthrough technology gets all of the attention at first, but once that technology becomes more accessible, the real money often shifts to the businesses that apply it in practical ways. Today, I'm going to make the case that the biggest winner of the AI era may not be the companies building the models themselves. They may be the companies that use AI to solve real problems, improve real workflows, and create outcomes people will actually pay for. Hello everybody, this is Joe Justice, the Kanawha Valley Hustler, and let's get into how you can really build some value using AI, not just focusing on which model's the best. And listen, I get into these kind of conversations all the time. Hey, you've got to use Claude. Hey, have you used Fable yet? Oh my goodness, let's use DeepSeek for this. Let's use ChatGPT, that's no good. We got to use Copilot, or whatever kind of conversations people get into as if it's the model that is going to make the difference. And I want to give you a little bit of an advantage because I really think that it's not about the model, especially as time is going to progress. There's a lot of real inherent problems with AI, like model drift and things like that, that is really gonna, these models are not, what's the best way to say this? These models are not stagnant. Just because Claude is the best at, doing something today doesn't mean it's going to be the best at doing something tomorrow. And who knows, there could be open source models that end up beating them all at the end of the day. So you've got these multi-billion-dollar companies that at the end of the day are going to be worthless because some university is going to release an open source model that blows them all away. Instead, I want to encourage you that the real value of the AI revolution is going to be in people that learn how to use that technology and apply it to actual outcomes. So quit focusing on the technology, quit focusing on maybe it's disrupting your business. Maybe you're worried that you're going to be going out of business because the service that you provide will no longer be necessary because of AI. So instead of focusing on those types of things, focus on outcomes for your customers and how to use the technology in ways that can improve those outcomes. Let's take a look at some examples on how this type of disruption has affected the world in the past. Now, the most obvious example for me when it comes to this is the personal computer. Way back in the 80s, everybody assumed that the value was in the computers themselves. Massive companies like IBM really focused on hardware and building the computers. There were tons of computer companies back then. IBM, of course, Apple, there was Commodore, Tandy, just all kinds of personal computers. Even Atari came out with computers, and everything was focused on the hardware, and everything was focused on getting, at first they started out as kits and then later became other things. But it was all about that. It was all about the hardware. The focus was on the hardware, better, faster, superior hardware. But then this little ragtag company called Microsoft came in and provided software for IBM. IBM had the dominant computer in the market, and Microsoft created an operating system that made that computer accessible to common people. Now, of course, by today's standards, it's still pretty complicated if you go back and look at something like DOS. But at that time, that made the computer much simpler and much more accessible to common, ordinary, everyday people. So, what was the real value at the end of the day? Was it the fastest computer? Was it the one that could handle sprites the best? Was it the one that could crunch the most numbers? No, what it actually turned out being was it was the software layer that was built on top of it. And then, of course, then that's when the after that happened was when software, the tech boom, the tech bros of Silicon Valley, that's when it exploded, was because of software, things like Lotus Notes or Oracle software. That's when the software became the thing. So it turns out it wasn't really the hardware at all. It was the application. It was the ability to make that hardware do actual things, which I think is really analogous to what we're seeing today with the AI models that are out there. Hey, so real quick, if you've got a business and you're looking to get a little bit more attention on it, give me a call or send me a text at 304-853-5522. I'd be happy to kind of take a look at what you're currently doing, where it is you want to be to get more attention, to grow your brand, to generate revenue, and see if there's something I can do that can help you out with filling in that gap. I help local Appalachian businesses get more attention, build their brand, and grow using video on social media platforms. So shoot me a text, give me a call, 304-853-5522, and I'll see what I can do to possibly help you out with that attention. But the computer wasn't the only example of this. Another example would be electricity. Everybody thought that all the money was in the electricity, but it wasn't in the electricity. It was in the appliances. Once that technological layer of electricity was there, then appliance manufacturers were able to create everything from washing machines to refrigerators. But the value wasn't in, and again, that's not to say that the electric company didn't make money, but compared to the amount of money that was made by the manufacturers of appliances, the money made through electricity was chump change. You see a similar thing with railroads. Again, it's not that the railroads didn't make money. They made plenty of money. But it was in Sears and other companies like that, other mail order companies that were able to take the value, the power of that network that was created by the railroads and really create a massive economic boom. And that was where the real massive value was in all of the products that were being shipped. It was way more valuable than the actual railroad itself. And that leads us right into the internet, of course. The dot-com boom and bust was built around creating the internet. They thought that the value was all in the internet, but it was actually, Google is worth billions and billions and billions of dollars because of the internet. Same thing with Netflix, same things with Facebook and all that. It wasn't the underlying technology. And those are all very similar models, I believe. I think like if you consider the electric grid, if you consider the railroad system, if you consider the internet, and you consider personal computers, those are all the technologies, the underlying technologies, but the real massive values were in the Sears, in the appliance manufacturers. It was in the software manufacturers. It was Microsoft, not IBM, that won at the end of the day. So what does this mean for you? What this means for you is you need to focus on the value that you can provide. What do you use now? And harness that underlying technology. Don't get too caught up in the idea of which model is the best. Which one will do all of my work for me? That's kind of the era that we're kind of stuck in with this kind of magical thinking of, well, I want to use Claude because Claude will do all of my work for me. Don't think of it that way. Think of what your current workflows are, what your current deliveries, the value that you provide to your current clients. How can those be improved? How can your actual expertise be extended using AI? How can you, instead of just meeting with 2 clients a day, use AI in order to meet with 100 clients a day? A really good example of this application, I think, is an app called Fathom, which remembers all of it records meetings. So you can have multiple people meet, and then it creates those recordings, and then the advanced version of it uses AI, and you can search meeting notes and stuff like that. So you're taking your meetings, which is something that you already do. You already have those. You already have notes. You already have recordings. You already have all this kind of stuff. And it's using AI to streamline that process. So instead of going back and watching those videos all over again and going back and reviewing all those notes, you can just ask Fathom, what did we decide to do at the end of this meeting? Now, that doesn't do the work for you, but it helps you out with the outcome that you want, because when you have a meeting, you want an outcome. You want something to come out of it. And I think that's going to be the future for AI, not this focus on magical models that solve all of our problems and do everything for us and replace all of our employees, and we're going to go from having 100 employees to having 2 employees because we've got the magical AI model is going to do everything. Knock it off with the magical thinking. Knock it off with the magical models. What's good today is not going to be good tomorrow. You don't need to implement AI into every step along the process. You need to find ways to fill gaps, find bottlenecks in the stuff that you currently do, the outcomes that you currently provide, and find ways to improve those workflows using AI. And I think that will help you win in the AI race at the end of the day. Thank you all for watching and listening. This is Joe Justice, the Kanawha Valley Hustler, reminding you to hustle hard, hustle smart, and hustle with a smile.